From a hundred-eyed guardian to a miraculous healing bird, we're about to embark on a spellbinding adventure into the realm of myths and legends. Today, we're exploring 10 mythical creatures and monsters with mind-blowing powers. Get ready for a magical adventure. Argus Penapis. In Greek myths, Argus Penapis was a huge guy with 100 eyes all over him. He was the son of the earth goddess Gaia. Argus was a tough character who beat Echidna, the monster's mom, and became Hera, the god queen's top helper. Argus was key in a tale about Zeus's girlfriend, Io, who Zeus turned into a white cow to hide her from Hera's envy. Hera, knowing Zeus's trick, asked him for the cow as a present. Zeus had no reason to say no and gave her Io. She handed Io to Argus and told him to always watch her. Argus followed orders well, using his many eyes to guard the cow. Even when Argus slept, half of his eyes stayed open, making him an excellent guard. Zeus, wanting to rescue Io from Argus, sent Hermes to sneak her out. Hermes cleverly put Argus to sleep with music, shutting all his eyes and allowing him to take Io. Hera was upset to lose Argus, but put his 100 eyes on her favorite bird, the peacock, to remember his constant watchfulness. Arion. Arion, a legendary horse, was known as the fastest and most majestic ever. He was born from Poseidon, the powerful sea god, and Demeter, the goddess of farming. The story goes that Demeter, looking for her missing daughter Persephone, turned into a horse to avoid Poseidon. But Poseidon, deeply in love, became a stallion to be with her. Their union led to Arion's birth. King Ixion, who was Apollo's half-god son, got Arion next. The horse was awesome in battles, helping King Ixion win a lot. Then, the strong hero Heracles got Arion. He used the horse to beat King Augeas for breaking a promise after Heracles cleaned his stables as his 5th task. After Heracles, King Adrastus of Argos got Arion. All of Adrastus's soldiers died in a bad fight against robbers, but Arion swooped in and saved the king, proving he was the fastest horse in Greek myths. Automaton, Talos. Automatons, or self-operating machines and mechanical beings, were incredible creations in Greek mythology, said to be crafted by the god of smithing, Hephaestus, or the ingenious inventor Daedalus. These metal beings could move and do jobs on their own, without needing people to tell them what to do. They were truly amazing in their design and abilities. Among these remarkable machines, the most famous was the giant bronze figure, Talos, made by Hephaestus. His purpose was to guard Zeus's girlfriend, Europa, on the island of Crete. Talos was known for his incredible strength and was able to throw massive rocks at ships attacking the island. What made him nearly unbeatable was this special vein that ran from his neck to his ankle, filled with a magical liquid that kept him alive and strong. Talos was not just strong, he had a special ability to get super hot, making him a fearsome protector. But, as the story goes, his downfall came when Jason and the Argonauts, a group of adventurous heroes, arrived at Crete. With them was the witch Medea. They were on a quest to find the Golden Fleece, a legendary object of great power. Medea was known for her magic and cunning, and she played a key role in dealing with Talos. She figured out that by removing a bolt in Talos's ankle, they could drain the life-sustaining liquid from his body. This was their chance to overcome the otherwise invincible guardian. Automaton, the Kulus Bulls. These were super cool and kind of scary mechanical bulls that could breathe fire. King Aeetes got these as a present from Hephaestus. When Jason, this adventurous hero, came along to get the famous Golden Fleece, King Aeetes set up a few tough challenges for him. One of these was to deal with the Kulus Bulls. So here's the deal. Jason had to take these fiery bulls, strap them to a plow, and then use them to plow a field. Imagine trying to control huge metal bulls that can shoot fire from their mouths. It was a seriously tough job, but Jason wasn't alone in this. He had help from Medea, a really smart and powerful sorceress. With her magic, Jason could handle the heat from the bulls and actually managed to yoke them. This was a huge deal because it got him closer to his ultimate goal, the Golden Fleece, which was kind of a big deal back then. Basilisk. Picture a snake so dangerous that just being around it could kill plants and mess up the whole area. This basilisk was called the King of Snakes, and it totally earned that title. It had this crazy venom that was so deadly, just a little bit could take down the strongest warriors or the biggest animals, and its breath was just as bad. If it breathed on someone, that was it for them. But the scariest thing about the basilisk was its look. They'd drop dead right there if anyone or anything caught its eye. Even though the basilisk was super scary, it wasn't invincible. It had a couple of odd weaknesses. First, it couldn't stand the smell of a weasel. Then, the sound of a rooster crowing was bad news for it. And the third, kind of like in those vampire stories, was seeing its own reflection. Now, how this creature came to be is a weird story too. Legend says it was born from a snake or toad egg, but get this, the egg had to be kept warm by a rooster, not a snake or toad. Blems. Now let's talk about the Blems. These guys were like something out of a movie, living in the deserts of northern Africa. They were this tribe of headless men. Yeah, no heads. Instead, their faces were right there on their chests. Imagine seeing eyes where you'd expect to see a shirt pocket. They were known for being tough fighters, always ready to throw down with travelers or explorers who wandered into their area. Some stories even said they ate their enemies, which is pretty intense. But that's not all. There were rumors that the Blems had magical powers. They could supposedly vanish or turn invisible whenever they wanted. Caus. Deep inside the Aventine Hill, where Rome would eventually be built, there was this huge, fire-breathing giant named Caus. He was a big deal in Roman myths. Vulcan's son. Vulcan was like the Roman version of Hephaestus. Caus was super strong and really sneaky. He'd go around stealing cattle and sheep from the local farmers. His trick was dragging them backward by their tails so it looked like they just walked away. But he made a big mistake when he decided to steal from Heracles, a really strong hero. Heracles chased Caus right back to his cave, but Caus tried to hide by rolling a huge rock before the cave's entrance. That didn't stop Heracles though. He was crazy strong and dug through the mountain to get into the cave. Then they had this wild fight. Caus was spitting fireballs, and Heracles was throwing massive rocks. It was intense, but Heracles was too much for Caus. In the end, Heracles won by grabbing Caus by the throat and strangling him. Caladrius. The Caladrius, a bird straight out of Roman mythology, was no ordinary bird. People back then believed it had some pretty amazing healing powers. Picture this, a sick person lying in bed, and this bird comes by their side. By just locking eyes with the Caladrius, the sick person's illness or disease would transfer to the bird. Then, the bird would take off, flying away and taking the sickness with it, spreading it out so it would disappear. It was like the Caladrius was a living, flying remedy. There are different versions of this myth. In some, the Caladrius was kind of picky. It would only visit those who were pure in heart. If you were a good person, the Caladrius would aid you. But in other stories, the bird wasn't so choosy. It would help anyone who needed healing, no matter who they were. Another cool thing about the Caladrius was its ability to predict if someone would get better. If it looked at a sick person and then flew away, that meant the person would recover. But if it refused to look at the person, well, that wasn't a good sign. The Caladrius wasn't just a magical bird in the stories, it symbolized hope and healing. When people in those times heard about or told stories of the Caladrius, it gave them something to believe in, especially when they were sick or taking care of someone ill. It's kind of like how we have stories of guardian angels or miracle cures today. Caledonian Boar. In the Greek forests, there was this huge, scary beast called the Caledonian Boar. Everyone was terrified of it. Sent by Artemis, the hunting goddess, to punish the king of Caledon, this boar was no ordinary animal. It had super sharp tusks and a coat so tough that no weapon could hurt it. To stop the boar's rampage, the king called together the best Greek heroes for a risky hunt. This group included the famous fighter Theseus, the quick Atalanta, and the king's own son, Meleager. They were all brave and skilled, but this boar was a tough opponent. It seemed unbeatable. Then, Atalanta prayed to Artemis and shot an arrow that actually hurt the boar. Once it was injured, it got easier to fight, and Meleager managed to kill it. But deciding who got the credit for the hunt caused problems. Atalanta hit it first, and Meleager, who liked her, gave her the trophy. This made some hunters mad and eventually led to Meleager's sad end. Catoblepas. The Catoblepas is a creature from myths that's really fascinating. Imagine a huge animal that looks like an ox but has a super long, skinny neck that's always bending down. Its head was so big and heavy that it couldn't even hold it up. It just dragged on the ground. This creature was always looking at the ground, never lifting its head. It moved really slow, kind of like it was always tired or just not interested in hurrying anywhere. But here's the scary part. Its breath was deadly. If any animal or person breathed in what the Catoblepas exhaled, that was it for them. This creature was supposed to live in Africa, and because it liked to keep to itself, people rarely ever saw it. There were all these stories about it, like how eating its meat was super dangerous. But the most intriguing part of the legend was about its eyes. If you made the mistake of looking straight into the Catoblepas's eyes, you'd turn into stone. Hope you enjoyed our mystical journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your favorite mythical creature in the comments. See you in our next adventure.